Midnight on Earth podcast with your host, Jake Weaver. Engineered by Cedric Swan. Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Midnight on Earth. I'm your host, Jake Weaver, and we are here to bring you more knowledge, more light, and more love. And today I'm so happy because we have Judy Machado on the show today. She's going to educate us and inspire us and give us all of this good information about cacao, the spirit of cacao, the history, her organization, Goddess Temple Cacao. We're going to talk about so much. It's going to be absolutely incredible. We've never talked about cacao before, but now is the time. But before we do that, I need you to do something for me. Follow me on Instagram at midnight_on_earth. That is the address. You can follow me there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you go to get your podcasts, click that button that connects us so you know exactly what is going on when people like Judy come on and they have this incredible information about maybe something you want to know about. Like me, I haven't engaged with this yet. You get that notification instantly. Boom, where your device, whatever you're listening on, we're in the 21st century, we have this technology. Most importantly, tell a friend, similar frequency people or people that you know, hey, they need this information. You love them. You want them to grow. Bring them here. midnightonearth.com. All right. So we're just about to talk to Judy, but first, let's read her bio. Here we go. Judy's beloved relationship with the cacao plant spirit began when working intimately with a Shipibo-Conibo trained shaman, followed by an Andean medicine man. Now a trained and spirit-sanctioned initiated teacher, Judy's purpose is to hold sacred space, mesmerizing others into remembering their divinity through daily rituals, ceremonies, cacao facilitator deep dive dieta journeys, ceremony facilitator trainings, and wellness retreats in Peru and in the Azores. And by the grace of the divine, and even with the plant spirit of the cacao with us now, Judy Machado. Hello.
Oh, thank you so much, Jake.
Oh, thank you for being here.
I love you. I love your energy. I love what you're doing here with Midnight on Earth. It's so beautiful. Your community. I'm so grateful to be here.
Thank this is awesome. So much. Let's talk about cacao. Okay. We know that it is the main component of chocolate. It's a seed. It's a dried and fermented seed from the cacao plant, which kind of naturally grows in equatorial areas. When do you feel like historically humans started to really engage with cacao and notice its not just physical effects, but the spiritual effects?
I love that question. And there's a beautiful legend that the gods and goddesses, the cosmic gods and goddesses, were observing all of our planets and had a look at Earth and said, you know what? I think it's about time that we support them. There's a big shift happening. We're going to come down. We're going to support them. And they literally came to our planet above our jungles and sprinkled some of their food onto our jungles. And that's why cacao itself, which looks like this, for those of us who are watching, it's sort of a cone shape. It's called food of the gods and goddesses. It's actually the plant itself is called Theobroma cacao. Our beautiful ancestors called this plant Theobroma cacao. And theo in Greek is god or goddesses, and broma in Latin is food. So food of the gods and goddesses, because it truly is food of the gods and goddesses, not just for them, but for us as humans, because it's amazing for our spiritual, our physical, our mental support and health. And we'll talk about all of this goodness, but it really is, it was a time where, thousands of years ago, perhaps even more, where cacao suddenly became, I truly believe, based on history, we've been told so much about history, but there's so much more that we're all, remembering and learning about. And I believe that it's been well over thousands of years that we've had this beautiful plant spirit and this beautiful medicine, heart-opening medicine for all of us today.
Oh, yes, but you're saying it came from the gods, like it came from an extra dimensional place, or if the legends were perhaps metaphors or different understandings, it could be even extraterrestrial.
Yes, exactly. Because even the plants themselves, these plant medicines, there are plants, there are cosmic spirits that have decided to manifest themselves onto some of our plants here on Earth. And we call those master plant medicines. They're teacher plants. So all plants on this earth are either medicinal or teacher. And the teacher plant medicines, there's some that are called master plant medicines, only because, not that they're better than the teacher plants, they're called master plant medicines because they can take us on a profound journey. Some are psychedelic, some are not. Cacao is not a psychedelic. We'll talk a bit about that too. And yet, in my opinion, just as powerful, even though she is not a psychedelic, she's such a gentle medicine to open up our hearts and bring to us new perspectives around our story so we can get out of those patterns, break free from those conditions. And even though she's not a psychedelic, in my opinion, she is just as powerful as some of these journeys that you can take that are psychedelics, where you can go on an 8-hour journey, or perhaps even shorter, that's quite profound and visionary. The cacao is such a powerful, powerful, powerful medicine for our soul, for helping us to wake up. And I love to even share this belief of mine, which can be can sound a little crazy, but I feel like I have.
No, we're fine. Look, we go out to the highest frequency.
Crazy, right?
Well, it's just information that hasn't been processed yet by the mainstream consciousness. So let's just talk about that.
Okay, so I truly believe, having been so connected with this beautiful spirit every day for just over 5 years, that if it was not for our beloved ancestors learning how to take the seeds that are in the fruit of the cacao and processing them into today's favorite food, which is chocolate. So I do believe that if it was not for that happening, cacao, this raw cacao medicine turning into today's favorite food, chocolate, I believe that cacao would be also illegal, like many of the other plant medicines, simply because they have been misunderstood or disrespected or dishonored over the years. But now, how beautiful, we are coming to a time where everyone is starting to wake up. Everyone, you cannot deny this. Everyone in some form or some capacity is starting to wake up into this beautiful shift and remembering of who we are. And in this remembering, we are realizing the connection of who we are, the interconnectedness of everything. And these medicines are here to help us to accelerate that journey.
Wow, that's so huge. So literally these master teacher plants are taking on this cosmic spirit, and that cosmic spirit has like some other story elsewhere, but part of its story is showing up here to help the humans advance, but showing up in this, like you said, really gentle manifestation where there's this plant, there's even a process to extract it, and then you're consuming it in a way where it's pretty social, but it's also opening up your spirit in that same way. Interestingly, and I just want to touch on this really quick, both cannabis and yerba mate were also considered extraterrestrial plants and have that master teacher role. I'm just blown away right now because I didn't know that about cacao as well. Cannabis supposedly came from the Pleiades, and yerba mate, native Argentinians will say that the Aztecs said it was a gift from the gods, which again could have been the extraterrestrials. Whoa, or just these plant spirits showing up through the cosmos. Because like you said, we're all interconnected, not just the living light beings that are here, the other entities that are out in the universe, we're all connected. And therefore, they were called here to fulfill that specific role, like you're saying.
And to remind us, I truly believe that we are all aliens. We are all from the cosmos.
Yes.
And we have come to Earth we've come here to journey, agreeing that we're going to forget temporarily who we are. We're agreeing, we're coming here on this journey to temporarily forget so that we experience the joy of remembering who we really are. We go through that joy, that journey, I believe, through what's called evolution. And evolution is that shift in consciousness. And evolution is spelled EVOL, which is love backwards. And so maybe sometimes we need to experience the illusion of love backwards in order to go through the evolution, because that supports us in this journey of duality. This sort of, oh my God, that's bad, this is good. When really, is it all just part of...
It's a story. It's an unfolding story. It's an unfolding story. It's the human story. So many of my guests have talked about this, and I will say that that's the general consensus of most spiritually developed people, is they understand that the good, the bad, the ugly, yes, it has energetic implications, but it's also strangely on this other layer. It's this other story of the unfolding of the collective human spirit, in addition to the relationships with the plant spirits like cacao. And this plant itself is in everything. Like you said, it's in chocolate bars, chocolate milk, chocolate everything. Do you think that even in those hyper-processed, kind of very massively distributed methods, that it still kind of has at least some of the plant spirit in there?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why. Cacao, so chocolate is really the world's #1 favorite food. And what do we give it for? We usually give it to people for romance, for gifts of love. So that's the energy already of chocolate, is already love. The frequency, can you imagine in its raw form, where it hasn't been processed? It hasn't had all these sugars and soys and all these other ingredients that are not necessary. But you know what? It's just another form. It's not like it's a bad thing. It's just another form of this medicine expressing itself. And I truly believe that cacao, in some form, agreed to allow herself to be diluted in a way into this form of chocolate so that the whole world can learn about chocolate. Because I'm telling you, when people hear about this and they hear it's a plant medicine, it's not a scary thing to go and experience now, right? Because it's not a psychic. You're like, chocolate? Oh, what are you talking about? Me. When someone told me that initially, I was like, what are you taught? How is this a master plant medicine? I was familiar with ayahuasca already, a beautiful, beloved master plant medicine as well. And I was like, wow, it's categorized and labeled the same in terms of teacher mastery as the ayahuasca, and yet it was chocolate. And I needed to know everything. I was like, how is this so? I need to experience this mastery, this teacher. And I started to go on this journey of drinking every day the cacao and speaking to the spirit. And thankfully, I had a beautiful shaman. I wanted to go to a cacao ceremony right away. I went within the first few weeks of hearing about this. And there was a beautiful shaman who was there, and I started to work with her intimately. And I couldn't get enough of her. I couldn't get enough of the ceremony. I couldn't get enough of speaking to the spirit. I couldn't get enough of growing this relationship, because that's what it is. It's a relationship that we have available to all of us. These master plant medicines, these sentient, benevolent spirits that we can speak to, that have come in physical form, so we can also believe it, instead of being like, oh, well, who's God? I've never seen God, or whatever, right? We're like, oh, there's a drink. Okay, I can drink this and I feel really good, and it opens up my heart. And, you've got this sense of understanding the physical, which helps us to support us where we're at. And then we start to realize, as we start to speak to the spirit, that's the key, is that's the evolution in these beautiful plant spirits, is speaking directly to them, because ask and you shall receive. This has been coded for us for hundreds of thousands of years, if not more. And yet we are becoming even more aware of what that means, because we've come here agreeing that we're going to have free will, and we're going to temporarily forget this journey. And so we're going to be kind of lost on this journey of life. But when we remember that we have these cosmic spirits that we've co-created an agreement with, that when we remember, and we ask, that's when they can help us, because otherwise we have free will. We can make our own decisions and experience the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, all of the different possibilities that are here. And so it's just so beautiful that these medicines are here to help us to go through that remembering.
So as you're working with this shaman, what was that
Yes.
like for you? And then what is a cacao shaman? Like, how are they using it in a sacred way? And what does that mean?
Yeah, so there are shamans who understood and have understood for thousands of years, thankfully, they've been holding that reverence and being in such beautiful connection with our earth, with our plant spirits, with everything, with our elements, our directions. Our beloved shamans have been so connected to the below, the as above, so below, and have been holding that reverence for so long. And many of our shamans work with plant medicines. They either work with master plant medicines or both. They work with the elements. They work with so much of nature because they understand we are nature. How can we not
Right.
work with that? And they're working not just on a physical level to heal, but energetically as well. And so they understand these are energetic spirits as well as physical. And so, for example, with cacao, cacao being more of a gentle medicine, many of our shamans or medicine people who've used cacao for many, 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 many years, there are many ways that they would use this medicine. And one of them is if, let's say, there was some disharmony in the community, in the tribe, disharmony, or even a decision that needs to be made, and there's some unclarity around bringing everyone together and everyone drinks. So imagine there's disharmony and we drink this medicine. Cacao is a plant medicine. Each medicine has sort of their own specific medicines, very sort of
Right.
specific in how they can serve us and support us. Cacao is here to open up our heart, to really soften this heart, which is usually this tight ball that we've turned it into, right? Because we've been hurt, right? Or we have this story of being hurt. So we have this thing that happens over here. And now I have a story that I got hurt. I'm going to put another Band-Aid over here. And then this other person does something else. And I got a story. I'm going to tighten it up and do another Band-Aid. And we've got these hearts and we're just going on this beautiful journey right now of opening up that heart and remembering to just love unconditionally. And the medicine, the cacao spirit, is here to start to soften, like to shake it up, start to soften so that it starts to like open up a little bit and start to remove those little band-aids, those stories. So what happens is when we drink the medicine and we are in sacred intention, we understand that she is a cosmic spirit. We are we're honoring this cosmic spirit. We're open to her. We are acknowledging that she has medicine for us, and we're open to receiving her medicine. And so when we're open, we start to receive these, whether it's sprinklings of thoughts, memories, smells, things that are coming into our awareness, which are bringing up either memories or thoughts around something that is potentially a block. And when we talk about blocks, what are blocks? Blocks are typically our beliefs, right? So we have a belief about everything in life, and our beliefs are creating our reality because whatever we believe, the universe supports us with events and opportunities that show up in our life to support that belief, right? And that's where literally our eyes are just projections of what's going on inside of us. So we see what our beliefs are, what our beliefs
Absolutely.
are
Yes.
created in front of us. And so when we change those beliefs, that's when we have new realities because we change a belief. So the thing is, we are so conditioned, right? Isn't it Dr. Joe Dispenza, I think, who says that 95% of our being is conditioned to continue the pattern, continue to do what feels good, continue to do what I'm used to. 5% is excited about something new, right? So we've got these beliefs, and you could see it on Facebook, you could see it on social media, you could see it when some big crazy event is, thrown into the world of, oh, look at this new speaker. Everyone's like, oh my God, we must follow this and we must not do this. And there's this conditioning, right? Everyone's kind of conditioned. But when
Paradigms.
we
Yeah.
stop, the paradigms, right? And when we stop and go, okay, wait a minute. First of all, does this feel like it's fearful? Or does it feel like love? That's the first indicator. Does it feel like there's fear here, or does it feel like love? And then secondly, how can this is what I feel cacao helped me especially, and I love to share this. Cacao has helped me to say, okay, Judy, start everything from a place of not believing any of it.
Yes.
Any of it. start from a place of somebody's telling you something and you're sitting there in your head going, oh, isn't this so beautiful? She's sharing this. I don't believe it, but I'm going to actually sit here. I'm going to feel that. Okay, wait a minute. Does this feel like it's coming from love? Does it feel like a love frequency? Because if not, we know that it's coming from an illusion. So does it feel like love? Because love is all that exists. And if not, then okay, do I want to accept this belief? Or do I want to just have another belief? Because we've been conditioned to just believe everything, especially when it's being told on TV or, all these big sort of certain people are sharing these things with us. And now is the time where we're going through such an enormous shift that the smallest little belief that we can expand upon can create the most revolutionary, even radical, even unimaginable reality, because you cannot understand or even fathom something that is not part of your frequency until you're in that frequency. And so, first of all, it's how can we have this excitement that we are expanding into these higher states of awareness and frequency, and that there is magic on the other side of every new belief, every new shift that comes from an awareness of a higher frequency. And that's another thing that Cacao, one of the first things she supported me with, one of the first big messages I received from her from one of my journeys of drinking and asking her, share with me, was this. She said, Judy, is it possible that you would be willing to start to feel to when you think of a belief or when you share a belief of yours? So when I share a belief of mine, whether I'm thinking in my mind or sharing it out loud, that I stop right away and I acknowledge, okay, hang on a second. This is my belief right now. This is my belief. I just stated it. This is my belief, what's going on in politics or the world or whatever. It's my belief. And I welcome new perspectives from higher frequencies of love and above to come to me. And when those come to me, I may be open to changing this belief. And so when we do that, we are constantly opening up the flow, ask and you shall receive, right? Now we're going to send you more of the new awareness. We're going to keep sending you more. And this is what this journey of drinking this medicine for me for 5 years, every day, cacao in the morning, she gave me this message and every day I would say, okay, let's talk today. Today I would drink. Today, here's my belief. I have this belief around my project and why this isn't happening. Can you open up? Can you help me bring higher perspectives around perhaps why there's a block with this project that's not working out? And I'm open so long as those perspectives come from the high and the love and above frequencies. Otherwise, you'll get into the rabbit hole. You get back into like all that shit and all that stuff, right? So that's an important part of the request. And I'm telling you, that statement, bringing this into your life every day, the moment you say something where you're realizing you are declaring a belief of yours, is saying, okay, whoa, I just stated something, but I'm open. I'm open to one day perhaps changing this belief, even though I'm so set, like this has got to be true. I'm open based on one day changing this belief based on new information, which I'm inviting coming into my awareness from the love and above frequencies. And then it just like, that's why I call this cacao journey, drinking cacao every morning in sacred practice, I call it the magic carpet ride. Because that's literally what happens, especially when you receive, you're going to receive too. Like I keep receiving, I keep receiving these beautiful messages. You're going to know it's coming from the spirit because it's part of your practice and you're going to build that relationship with her. You're going to speak to her. And we can even do a little sample later if you're open of what that looks like. Cause I love to do that in my ceremony.
Oh, sure.
And blessings is people are like, what do I say to her? I don't even know how to talk to her. And I just guide people in a very simple little journey when you have your cacao with you, how you can actually address her by name and build this relationship every day, because these spirits are literally, they are just reflections of us. They are just more awakened reflections of us who are there. They are there and they are an aspect of us. They reflect an aspect of us. So when we start getting called by the cacao plant medicine, for example, which is everybody who's listening on this beautiful podcast is somehow being called by her, we realize that she's here to open up our heart. And when we start getting called by her, we can start to build a relationship with her. She sees that we are open to opening to that next level of heart opening. This is why she's calling us. We are somehow ready to go on this journey of heart opening. So she is suddenly in our awareness. She's calling to us. You're either hearing about a cacao ceremony, or you're on this podcast, or something's going on with cacao in your life and you're hearing. And now you can start to speak to her and build a relationship, because they are simply reflections of our relationships. Can you imagine being in a beautiful partnership and you never call them by name? Or all you do is you beg them for help whenever you need help? Which is what we all kind of learn with God and with like all these spirits. We're like, oh my God, okay, good, oh my God, something's wrong. I need help. Please, I promise you, if you help me with this, I'll do this. But they are just aspects of us. They are reflections of us. And if we want to be in relationship, which is the shift, I believe relationship consciousness, the relationship to self, which is a capital S, consciousness, is where we get into a state of we are all one. We are all understanding that we are all connected. We are all one. And that journey can be accelerated in a really big way when we connect with these master plant medicines. Because they especially when we're asking and bringing and talking to them and saying and loving them and calling them by name and asking them for guidance and support and being specific with them and being vulnerable with them. I really feel this sadness here. Take me even deeper into this. What is the root of this? We do this with our partners, hopefully, if we really want to be in a beautiful relationship with them. So why wouldn't we do this with our beloved plant spirits, which is our spirit guides? These are spirit guides. These plant medicines are spirit guides as well.
Wow, so much to unpack there. Oh my goodness. I was feeling the spirit of cacao with you when you were talking right there. So essentially, this plant spirit is, like you said, a heart-opening experience. You can meditate with it and have a daily relationship with it and engage with it in that way, like bring your questions, your beliefs and understandings. And because it's in that other place of absolute truth, it will open your own intuition to understanding those truths and then integrating whatever is actually the love-based information, as you're saying. And really, again, those beliefs, even if we do get those beliefs, we always still want to remain in a superposition, which is just a little bit of aperture, maybe 5%. Just leave a little bit open, even if you're so sure. If you're so sure, there's still that little bit. So you just leave it there and you'll always attract the new information. If there is new information, you'll attract that. And then you'll be able to add that to your perspective and grow more. And like you're saying, these plant spirits, thousands of years of history, a specific role, a specific purpose. This plant spirit is just really love-based, good energy. It's appreciated, whether it's conscious or not, it's appreciated all around the world. You think of German chocolate, Ethiopian chocolate, South American chocolate, American chocolate. There's just so much, Canadian chocolate. There's so much chocolate around the world. We love it. There's something about it that we know activates our spirit. And with that daily relationship that you're experiencing, it seems like you were saying, as you grow with it, you are able to get to yourself, like get back, move your consciousness into the self, and then you can analyze honestly without attachment. And the cacao spirit is there with you to support you in those moments. And that's so huge. And I will say, we're talking about spiritual things and energetic things and ethereal things, but biochemically, chocolate, what does it do? It raises serotonin. It raises dopamine. Serotonin, I mean, the seraphim, the angels, serotonin, what's going on there? All I know is that compound can activate some sort of biochemical gateway, which allows you to connect with spirit, to connect with love. Chocolate's doing that for you. The dopamine, that neurotransmitter, that's helping you get back to self and understand that there's divine guidance in everything naturally found in cacao.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is that is such an important part when you're first introduced to cacao, to understand the physical. Because so many of us are like, well, what does it do physically? What do you mean all that spiritual stuff? And so the physical, there is so much in cacao to help our body physically let alone the emotional and spiritual, which we're going to talk about for physical for a moment. For example, you just brought up the feel good within us, right? There are
Yes.
4 components in cacao that bring us into an elevated state of love. That is the serotonin, the dopamine, the anandamide, and the PEA, those compounds. The anandamide, ananda is found in so few food, and it's a Sanskrit word for bliss, for that unconditional love. And PEA, and we actually get to a place where we feel the PEA ignites in us this feeling of being madly in love. You know, when you're like madly in love with somebody at first, and you're like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. And you're just in this like, oh, bliss state. Those 4 components alone. Can you imagine, Jake, if the entire world started their day with a cup of cacao, raw cacao, instead of all of the pharmaceuticals, like all of the anxiety pills, the depression, like how much of the population is in that state where they are currently looking at some of these chemicals to support them. And we know that in nature has provided everything that we need for any dis-ease, any kind of condition, whether it's emotional, mental, physical. We just are starting to realize what those are, all those beautiful medicines. And so I really wish, is my goal, my wish, and even my belief that we are getting to a place where the entire world at some point is going to wake up and everyone's going to start their day with a cup of cacao and bring themselves into this beautiful place of bliss and love and heart opening.
Historically, it was consumed by drinking. The eating in a bar came way later. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It was historically, it's always been a drink, even a drink of royalty. So that's how the trade began when we first, or at least the history that we're aware of, when we first found it. Again, the non-indigenous peoples, because that sort of found it and were like, oh, what is this? And started to trade it, and started to use it mostly. It was mostly used within royalty families. And in fact, it was so, it was considered to be such an important and expensive commodity at the time that it was actually used as currency.
Wow.
Yes. Was used as currency by many.
That's mind-blowing.
As they were moving things around. And again, which brings us to a whole other conversation around money, and money being an energy of love and not this kind of conditioning of what we've all been told. It's evil, it's bad. People
I know.
All this stuff. And so and now cacao, interesting that was part of the journey was, I'm going to express myself as currency as well and enjoy this experience for people to understand that everything is energy. But beautiful.
So tell me more about how you became immersed in this. You did have a job at one point, right? That really inspired you for a chocolate company that kind of brought you into this?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you. That's such a great question. So I was actually years ago, I was working as a partner in a candle business. And we were producing for big companies, Target, Walmart, lots of big companies, big amounts of candles that were fragranced for them, mostly made of palm oil. And I like to share this story because it's really interesting. I know. So back then we were selling hundreds of thousands of really low cost candles to these companies. And people would ask me, oh, like, where are you getting the palm oil? Is that all that story that I keep hearing about in the rainforest with cutting down the trees? And I'd be like, no, of course we're not involved in that, but never really looking into it. And not being able to confirm it today. However, I can tell you for sure that part of my life was somehow involved in that. And now, knowing that cacao also comes from the jungle, a plant medicine, a master plant medicine. And in sharing this medicine with the world, it's almost like, in a way, kind of a way to give back to what was happening, this sort of crazy, incredible also expression of sharing candles with the world, but doing it through a way that may not have really supported the earth. And now here's this beautiful way to share cacao and to have people not only to consume this beloved drink, but to help the farmers, to help our beloved ancestors, our indigenous families, many who are actually in reverence as they grow the cacao themselves in these farms. And so for me, when I was first, my brother-in-law went to ayahuasca, and he went to an ayahuasca journey out in Peru, northern Peru, in Tarapoto, and he spent 12 days with the Shipibo-Conibo tribe out there on this ayahuasca journey, and some other beautiful plant medicines as well. And he came back and he was like, oh my God, there were cacao trees everywhere. And the tribe was telling me that cacao is also a master plant medicine. And he wanted to start a chocolate company at the time. And that's how I was introduced to cacao being a plant. And I was like, what are you talking about? Wait a minute. You're in the construction business and you want to start a chocolate company. And what do you mean it's a master plant? What? I was like, okay, overload. But yes, I want to help you. And at the time I was helping I sort of transitioned into consulting and helping people to build their businesses, to articulate people who were were conscious, who were soul led, who had these types of businesses, who wanted to articulate their contribution, their product. So I transitioned into consulting and supporting businesses, and he knew that. So he's like, come and help me build this chocolate company. And so that's when I started and supported him for about a year and a half in that beautiful creation, but also all that journey being like, wait a minute, this is so cool. I'm part of a chocolate company and chocolate business, but what are you telling me about plant medicines? And it was at the very same time, parallel, that I needed to know. I had this like yearning in my heart and my soul. It was almost like a remembering that I'd worked with this medicine in past lives, or that this medicine, that I had some agreement with the cosmic spirits, that this medicine is going to really support me in my life, in this lifetime. And that's when I said, I'm going to a cacao ceremony. And within a week and a half of him telling me this story, we found a cacao ceremony, and this beautiful shaman was there. And then this beautiful woman who studied with the same tribe that he went to experience ayahuasca. So the Shipibo-Conibo tribe out in Peru, beautiful, beautiful group of beloved beings who honor the earth so much, that we can learn from, and they're stewarding so much. And when I started to work with her, she taught me something so important that I want to share with everyone today.
Please.
And this is really the game changer, because there are a lot of people who really want, experience these beautiful medicines, right? They go to a ceremony, they experience these beautiful medicines, and then they right away want to share that with others, right? They're like, oh my God, look, cacao ceremonies everywhere, everywhere. People are trying this on their own everywhere. And it's beautiful. Again, the medicine wants you to experience her. And the most incredible way to experience this medicine is to be in relationship with the medicine. And this beautiful shaman who studied with the Shipibo-Conibo, beautiful indigenous families, she learned from them. And that was that there's a journey called the dieta.
Yes.
And any shaman, any medicine person, man, woman, people, who have been called by the medicine, because up until literally 10, 12 years ago, these medicines were mostly calling on shamans and conscious teachers who are already in a state of consciousness to respect the teachings, the wisdom that they're going to give them through the dieta, because these beautiful cosmic spirits have come, they've manifested themselves on these plants, which we can drink every day, and we can choose to go even deeper and more accelerated journey when we do a dieta journey with them, which is where there's sort of a beginning and an end, where we commit, we're going to be from this time to this time, and have the opening ceremony, closing ceremony initiated by somebody who's been initiated by the spirit, whether it's a shaman or someone who's in deep relationship with the spirit, who's going to guide us through that journey. We change our food during that period because we're purifying our body so we can receive even more. We go into more of a quiet time, so not as much social stuff happening with our phone and all that stuff. So it depends on which dieta, which plant medicine, but with the cacao dieta, I started to do many cacao dietas with this beautiful shaman who I was working with, and then continued on my own as I started to build this relationship with her, as I started to receive, open up this channel of receiving so much from her. Because in the beginning, you might be like, okay, I asked her something, I didn't really get anything. What's going on? Is it really happening? And that's probably just a block in our belief. Like, who am I to really receive? And this is why we continue the relationship. We continue to speak and grow and foster that relationship as we start to receive. And that dieta journey has been so instrumental in opening up, not only in fostering the most beautiful, deepening relationship that you can even imagine, you can't even imagine, with a cosmic spirit, in this case, the spirit of cacao, but also really helps us to open up our channel and just start letting go of the ego and start receiving and asking her, especially as a facilitator, if you wish to share this medicine with others in ceremony, in circles, as a facilitator, in some way. The most important thing is the relationship that you have with the medicine. How can we teach or share something when we ourselves, perhaps we're not in deep relationship with it? It's like, imagine sharing somebody's work when you don't even know their name, you have never talked to them. Maybe you've done some online trainings, that's beautiful too. But what's most important is the relationship that you have and the receiving of guidance that comes directly from the spirit. You will ask for things and she will tell you, it's time, it's ready, do this, do that. You will start to receive that beautiful divine guidance. And so that dieta journey is so beautiful and so important. And it can be done. Anyone can come in and experience this dieta journey. Anyone who wishes to either experience a deep connection with a cosmic spirit, with a spirit guide, experience something that is perceived to be bigger than themselves. So experience this deeper connection. Anyone who wishes to purify their body, mind, and spirit, because you do that on this specific time and journey that we're on. So it's something that anyone can experience, and I recommend it for anyone, whether you wish to serve this medicine to others or not, whether you're just on this journey of going, wow, this is so interesting, this information. I would love to connect deeply with a plant spirit who's going to be sharing with me, who's going to be giving me guidance, to feel that I'm divinely guided, to know, not just feel, but know that I'm divinely guided, know that I'm divinely protected. Because sometimes I get caught up in the drama of what's going on out here in the world. And sometimes I don't feel protected. And sometimes I feel like, oh my God, whether it's through money or through fears or wars or all this stuff, how can I really feel divinely guided, protected, loved, and that I have a purpose, there's a reason why I'm here. There's a purpose for me to be here. And how do I really clarify a little bit more how I can live that purpose every day? And those things come beautifully in any form with lots of other options and medicines. And the dieta is one of the ways that I've experienced that is an accelerated way of bringing myself to this journey.
Wow, that's so incredible. Speaking of articulate, you are so articulate. You have an incredible way of communicating things so perfectly. So how do you bring this dieta energy? Because the dieta experience, I'm sure, is a process. You have to be in a space. There's a ritual behind it, but there is that reverence, that love. How do you bring that energy into a daily practice with cacao for someone that's in an apartment in New York City, working 60 hours a week, but wants that? How can they achieve some aspect of that?
Well, this is so beautiful. So in my journey over the last 5 years, I have been supported, I believe, divinely guided by our beloved Mother Cacao to help not just the novice, who I think you're talking about, sort of somebody who's like, oh, wait a minute, this is interesting. How do I start this relationship?
Right.
But also the person who wants to dive deeper. And there's two things that I love to support people with, two paths. One is what's called a daily, beautiful, sacred ritual and a morning drink. And you can literally just drink her every morning. And I have even on my website a free 5-day video series where I come to the video for 5 days. Every day you get a new video for 5 days, and I'm coming to the video with my cup, and I'm encouraging you to come with your cup. So there's a video on how to make the cacao, how to find ceremonial cacao, all that good stuff. But you don't even need cacao. You can just show up to the video if you wish, just to receive these these stories of what cacao is. And I promise you, if you don't have the cacao, by the end of those 5 days, you're going to want to get cacao and you're going to want to watch it again because it's so beautiful. And it's 5 days of just me coming to the video and sharing a little bit each day, a little bit more about this cosmic spirit. Who is she? Where does she come from? How can we connect with her? And we end each call, and it's just anywhere from 20 minutes to half an hour each video, with us drinking the cacao together. So I guide us again, like I talked about, which we'll do, I'm sure, before the end of our podcast.
Definitely.
It's a little bit of a guiding. How can you, now that you're intrigued, you're excited, you want to connect with this plant, how can you start to build a relationship? How can you speak to her? And I guide you through that. So in the video, we do that for 5 days. So that at the end of the 5 days, you know how to do this. You can start your own practice on your own in your apartment in New York or wherever you are in the world. And then for those who are like, wow, this dieta, I want to go deep. I want to do this. In this case, I take people through a 16-day journey, 16 days. And you can be in Douglas, or you can be in your apartment in New York or wherever in the world. And I always say, cacao wants to support us. Some of the plant medicines want us to be in an overnight stay, somewhere where we are in a place, we're safe, because we're going to go through this intense, like 8-hour journey, maybe. And then there are plant medicines such as the cacao, which are very gentle and mild, still powerful with bringing us information, but we could be in our day-to-day. And she actually wants us in our day-to-day because she wants us to integrate, which is the most important part of any plant medicine ceremony. It's not just being there going, wow, I had a revelation, woo, now I'm going to go into the world. It's, how do I integrate this now when I go home? And so this dieta happens in your home, in your day-to-day, when you're doing your work. So you don't even have to take time off work, but there is a guidance before and after work where you're encouraged to go into a silent retreat within your home. So you typically would be on your phone every night, social media, just kind of, checking everything. You're not going to do that for at least a few days. You're guided through this journey. You're going to be on your own. You're going to be still, because the more still we can be, the more we can hear. So we guide you, especially at the beginning, to do this. Same with, normally you would go out to dinner maybe with a friend a week. You're not going to do that week, because that's the week where you're going to be still. You're going to be on your own. And we're going to show up every day on a call every day so that we can drink together and we can speak to her together. So again, you know how to go deeper and be more vulnerable with her, because the more you can share everything that's within you, the more you're going to ask for the specific. You're going to get clearer on and acknowledge on what's going on for you, because the only way to alchemize anything back to love is to first acknowledge what it is, right? So acknowledging the story, the paradigm, whatever it is, the what we might call the darkness, bringing that to light, acknowledging it and bringing some love to it. And then saying, okay, you know what? I actually see how that really did serve me, but maybe something else could serve me now. So I'm going to invite that something else now. And that conversation is had every day. So that there's 2 journeys, 2 paths, the beautiful daily, sacred, intentional journey. You can have 5 minutes a day. You can do this. 20 minutes a day, however long you have, it doesn't matter. So long as you're making some cacao, you're drinking, and you're setting a beautiful intention for your day, because that helps us remember that we are the creator and no one else can create for us. Well, unless we allow them, but we are actually creating, we are co-creating. So the intention, and then also the relationship, how to speak to her, how to remember that we're not just drinking and going, oh, wow, I feel wonderful. I feel so good. It's, wow, I invite you, beautiful, beloved Mama Cacao, spirit of cacao, I invite you into my heart. Thank you for calling on me. Thank you for remembering me. Thank you for helping me to remember you, that you've always been here, but thank you for remembering now that you're here and that you're here to help me. And that the more I can love you and appreciate you and talk to you, the more you're going to help me.
That's so huge. And I bet after 5 years, because you're talking about 15 days or that amount of time, after 5 years, that plant spirit must be with you every second. You have dreams about her. You feel her presence. There must be synchronicities related to cacao. Are all of those things happening?
Yes. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I really believe Mama Cacao, this plant spirit, this specific master plant medicine, is a gatekeeper for us. She opens up our heart, right? So she takes this like hard bud and she softens it so it opens a bit. And then she's like, oh, check this out. There's a little bit of forgiveness here that we need to work on. And she brings into our awareness other spirit guides who resemble that forgiveness or guilt or whatever it is that's going on in our heart, she starts to sprinkle in, and we start to have callings or things that show up in our life. For example, I'm going to share something again that might be a little bit
Go for it, please.
Out there.
We love you. We love you. This is so much support here. Express yourself.
I know, exactly. So what I found is, I was drinking the cacao, speaking to her, and all of a sudden I kept hearing from her and feeling these memories of, for example, Mary Magdalene, who many of us know from the Bible.
Of course.
And also Goddess Isis from Egypt.
Yes.
And so I was getting all these like, Goddess Isis, this powerful spirit who was like a destroyer and a creator and embodied like pure creation. And then Mary Magdalene, I was getting these because I started to really connect with oils as medicine. And all of a sudden I had this one oil, ylang ylang is the name of the oil. And I used to not love that oil. And all of a sudden I grabbed it and I suddenly loved it. And had this feeling that this was Mary Magdalene's oil. And sure enough, things came into my awareness through all this priestess work that I started to do with these beautiful priestesses and being so divinely connected to that I started to realize, oh my goodness, ylang ylang was one of Mary Magdalene's oils that she used in sacred ceremony to anoint those around her, including Jesus. And so, again, I'm not a religious person whatsoever. I did grow up as a Jehovah's Witness, which is another whole interesting story, but I left when I was 18 because, of course, for me, I felt like there was a story and a sort of this is what needed to happen and everything outside of this was not real. And I wanted to experience everything, right? So this is why I left when I was 18 and I'm no longer part of the religion or any religion. However, Mary Magdalene came into my world through Mama Cacao. She felt that I needed to bring forgiveness to the anger I had around the religion and all religions, forgiveness of God because of what I was told God was and the fear of God and all this stuff, forgiveness that needed to be for myself, even for all of these decisions that I made in my life that I was like creating so much guilt and how could I have, forgiveness for others. And so she brought into my awareness, it was like Mary Magdalene was showing up everywhere. And because I was in relationship with Mama Cacao every day, to this day, I start my day speaking to my spirit guides and I end my day speaking to my spirit guides. The guides, which really the spirit of Cacao was brought into my life because before her, I didn't really speak to any spirits or any guides because I was in this conditioning of like this anger with religion and God and who is God and all this stuff. And I started to drink this plant medicine. And all of a sudden, Mary Magdalene came into my awareness. All of a sudden, Goddess Isis. All of a sudden, some other Archangel Michael. All these beautiful spirits. As I was drinking, I started connecting with them and getting messages and knowing that she's the one who's looking and saying, "Okay, look at this. There's some stories here, some conditioning around these problems, these stories, this events that happen in your life. Therefore, I'm going to bring these other spirit guides. We're going to call them because." Wow. They're just aspects of us. We are like a million personalities, if not more. And so are these beautiful spirits. They're a million personalities or aspects of us. And they call to us when it's time for us to see that within ourselves.
Wow.
The cacao comes into your life when it's time for you to see your heart. When it's time for you to open your heart. She comes into your life and then she helps to shake it up, open it up. And then she's the one who goes, ooh, look at this. And starts to bring other beautiful spirits. And this is why we go on this journey of accelerated. Wow. It's like, oh my God, can you imagine all these spirit guides helping us? All of a sudden, we're like accelerating into this journey of forgiveness of all. And a journey, I truly believe these plant medicines are here to help us to render all things sacred.
Yes.
Even
absolutely.
When we look at the world and we see some of the ugly in the world, we don't need to agree with it or wish for it to happen, but we understand the journey of why it's happening, this journey of evolution and the co-creation that's going on in that journey. And we can really understand that, okay, that's happening just like every event is happening. And is it happening when we are in this vibration of love and remembering? We can truly shift what's happening over there through our vibration, through our energy, by remembering by remembering the duality of why we're here and the neutrality as well.
And it adds to the evolution, like you're saying because I believe what you're saying is that when you have this relationship with Mama Cacao, which I've never heard that before, but I'm now adopting that because that's the name. Mama Cacao heals you, cleanses the distortion from your auric field. And then you start to attract those higher frequency beings because normally humans in their perfect state have a dialogue continuously with these spirits, but we're in a diminished state because of the toxins in our environment, the paradigms that we're programmed with, all of those things that create our reality, as you're saying, are not the true story. They're not authentic. So when you get back to homeostasis on every level, energetic, physically, mentally, everything, that's when you can connect with those beings that are right there because your frequency is different now. It's vibrating differently. It's vibrating higher. The junk is gone. You're back to your high vibration, divine spark and, encased self. And you're connecting with these spirits, which is so huge. And you don't ever, like you say, hear about cacao being expressed in this way, except in circles where people do cacao ceremonies, but just naturally, conventionally in mainstream society, you don't ever hear about this. But this is absolutely mind-blowing because the work that Mama Cacao is doing is coming into scope. We're seeing it in this podcast and it's huge. And if you weren't looking at it, you wouldn't necessarily realize how big of an impact that specific plant spirit is making. But then you just got to look a little bit in that direction. You say, wait a second. Oh my goddess. Like, whoa, this plant spirit's doing incredible work. It's like a superhero of plant spirits right now. I'm kind of blown away. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are too.
Oh my God, I love that superhero. And you know what? Let me tell you, just like with anything in life, and again, plant medicines are not the only way that we can expand. We know that there's so many expressions, so many ways. It is the consistency. This is my story. I showed up every day drinking my cacao. From the moment I heard that, I was like, what are you talking about? I went and bought some. I was like, wow, okay. Tried to look online 5 years ago, couldn't find anything anywhere about, is this even safe to drink this much cacao every day? Couldn't find that fight. That's how fast we're evolving into this beautiful medicine coming and attracting more, coming into the hearts of more people. But I just knew, okay, I think I can drink a full cup. I'm going to drink a cup. Because I heard that it being ceremonial dose, that you drink a big cup in ceremony, when you're with other people. But to drink it every day, is it too much that I'm drinking? But I went through this journey of feeling my heart. Yeah, this is good. I can do this. And then the shaman immediately came into my life. Then I started to work with her, which was part of an important part is associating yourself, connecting yourself with people who have been in honor and reverence and understand and in relationship with these medicines. And then the consistency of showing up with her. It's like your relationship.
Yes.
How can you expect an amazing marriage, partnership, friendship, whatever, to be beautiful if you're not speaking to this, if you're not in reverence, respecting, loving, talking to this person? And so that's important. And, another thing I want to share, which is so beautiful, which I found the cacao. I'm going to share obviously I'm sharing many different things
Keep going.
Cacao shared with me because it's just, first of all, it wasn't just for me, although it was like, oh, such beautiful expansion for me. But these are things I share because I know that they're expansion for others. Because they're just it almost seems revolutionary. When really it's not. It's just, opening up to new ideas, right? To new possibilities. And one of them is, I was on a beautiful daily journey with my medicine in the morning. I call her medicine, heart opening medicine, drinking this cacao in the morning and talking to her. And I was sitting in quiet. Sometimes I chant, sometimes I sit in quiet. Sometimes I ask her something, all different things. And again, that video series, if you like, we go over all the different ways. If you're like, what do I say? What do I do? It's all there. It's all beautiful. But in this instance, I just sat in quiet and I was just like, just saying, wow, what beautiful insights or information do you have for me today? I'm open. And in this silence, I received from her a message. And it's like I saw her, and she was this beautiful spirit. I saw her, and I saw her look at me, and I saw her say to me, "You are the medicine." And she became me. Like I saw me. And that was a message for all of us, that these medicines, these spirits want us to remember that we are the medicine.
Right.
Because we look at them, and they are the medicine. Yes, we go through these levels of evolution, right? Of realizing, okay, this is medicine. I'm going to take this medicine. It's going to make me feel better. It's going to heal. And oh my God, we also are the medicine. And so remembering our divinity, remembering our purpose here. And it reminds me so much of a story that Marianne Williamson said. So Marianne Williamson, she has this book called A Return to Love. And I personally love that book. It's one of my favorite books, mainly because of my religious background, right? I grew up until I was about 21, as a very devout Jehovah's Witness. And so I had these paradigms, conditions, these beliefs. And her book, A Return to Love, which shares a lot of scripture, again, not religious at all,
Sure.
but from a place of A Course in Miracles, which is another whole, some of you may know that, Course in Miracles, which is looking at the Bible and the verses through love, not through fear, not through control, but through love. What is it really telling us? And so she summarizes in her book called A Return to Love that we're actually coming into this consciousness of love and what that is. And she uses a lot of scripture in there, which for me was so beautiful because it was really healing for me, because I recognized a lot of those scriptures and remembered what I was being told about them, and just like, literally feeling like I was going to this like fetal position of love, and just like allowing these scriptures to actually be love and not what I thought it was. And anyway, Marianne Williamson, I'm just trying to. Oh yes, she shared a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful message in here about. I'm going to share a story from the Bible for those of you who remember the Bible. Jesus, and Jesus was speaking to somebody. Oh my God, the name just escaped me. Somebody who had leprosy. Oh, the name just escaped me. Who was it that had leprosy? Oh my goodness. Oh,
dang, I forgot as well. I feel terrible about that.
So, I know. So anyway, Jesus came, and this man had leprosy, and he was like in the middle of the square, I guess the village, whatever. And he was on his own because nobody wanted to be near him because he was contagious. And he was, he had all these things, these blisters and this stuff all over him. And he was like all alone, and he was just in such a terrible state, so much suffering. And Jesus came and kneeled down to him. And he came down to his level, which most people wouldn't do because they were afraid. And he just came down to his level, kneeled to him, and looked in his eyes. And in that glance, this beautiful soul who had this temporary condition called leprosy suddenly was healed. Why? We have been taught that Jesus healed him, that Jesus touched him or healed him, or that it was Jesus, only Jesus is capable of doing this. But yet, Marianne Williamson explains that Jesus looked at him through the eyes of God, through love, did not see leprosy, saw only the beautiful, infinite soul that he is. And he saw in Jesus' eyes that he only saw love in him. He did not see the imperfection. And therefore, he healed himself. And so this whole "you are medicine" that I believe was that message from cacao that came to me was primarily around, yes, our hands and our being and our what we do in our service. But we all think we got to do this big thing to like be of contribution to humanity. But I believe that message was through your eyes. When anyone's talking to you, the guy who's, at the cash register, at the grocery store, be with that person. See the God or the goddess in that person. Look at them. You don't even have to say anything. Just thank them and see the soul, the infinite God, goddess, mother, father, God, whatever you want to call it, soul that person is. And that alone, the ripple effect that is the medicine. That is the biggest medicine of it all,
I,
is our
I,
presence.
I totally agree with you on this on every level. And I just will say that the Jesus person, that person that existed, has a story, and it's probably most likely different than what we've learned. However, those books have universal truths. I mean, they came from somewhere else before they were written down. They're a part of the human story. Every spirituality, every religion has these universal truths. And Jesus himself, of course, lived in Egypt. He was initiated in the Egyptian mystery schools. He was given that high frequency information and activated the Christ consciousness in himself. And people of spiritual thinking in very many circles talk about the Christ consciousness. And he was able to activate that divine spark that allowed him to connect with people, to, like you say, get them to heal themselves, to activate their own divinity. It's really mind-blowing, and people do get caught up when somebody says God or Jesus. They instantly kind of go into that religious thinking, but it's so much bigger than that. Like we were talking about Mother Mary earlier, the mother of Jesus. It's an archetype. It's an energy. That person existed and did incredible work. I believe there was a real Jesus. I also believe he was crucified. There's a lot of different aspects of it that may have come from other cultures and other things, but just the core of it is that you can activate yourself. You create your own reality. There's a rapport between yourself and the divine through this Christ consciousness. It's kind of this interface point. It allows you to perceive some of those things and integrate them, like you're saying, as a human being, because as beautiful and as infinite and as divine as we are, we're still a physical being. So there's some aspect of us currently that is bound to this dimension. So all of that is okay, but that is part of the process. And cacao, of course, is playing this very significant role in this.
Yes, it's amazing. And you know what else, Jake? It's so beautiful. So years ago, I was already on a beautiful journey of experiencing these plant medicines, including our beloved ayahuasca plant medicine as well. Not intensely, but sort of on this journey of ooh, let me experience it over here and then over here. And years ago, I was also connected suddenly a little bit to the mushroom medicines. And the mushroom medicines are also beautiful medicines that I believe are this, like you call the sort of sister medicines. We had this conversation, I think, which I'd love for you to share.
Yes, I will, for sure.
Side note. But the cacao and the mushrooms, beautiful medicines too. And the mushrooms started to come into my awareness as well, especially over the last year. And it's been an interesting evolution because we're always evolving. And for me, with these mushrooms coming into my awareness, I partnered with a beautiful mushroom ceremonialist, and we started to do these day journeys with cacao and mushrooms.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. That's so funny.
Yeah, so beautiful. Where we guide people into not a really big dose of mushrooms, but just enough, especially for somebody who's just sort of wanting to experience this, the cacao in sacred ceremony to open up our heart and bring us that courage and open up our heart to new perspectives, and the mushrooms to bring us what they bring us, which is this, incredible, as we know, just this incredible knowing and feeling and remembering that we are all interconnected, and taking people through these journeys. And it has been so beautiful, and so beautiful that journey of them connecting deeply with me now. And now I'm experiencing dietas with the mushrooms too, because I'm part of this co-creation with this wonderful woman in doing these journeys. And at first thinking, well, I'm there to support cacao. And then realizing, hearing from them saying, no, but why don't you journey in dieta with us too? We want to take you deeper. And I was like, okay. And I've now been on several dietas with the mushrooms. Like, you can do this with any plant medicine, so long as, especially in the beginning, you're doing this with somebody who's guided. But Katie and I have included now mushrooms as part of our dieta journey, so that if you wish to just have dietas as the journey, or the cacao, or both of them to help with this beautiful dance of this cosmic dance with these two beautiful plant medicines. So that's been my beautiful newest evolution over the last sort of
Wow.
8, 9 months. Incredible.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. I wanted to ask you about that because there is a synthesis between certain plant spirits. Now, you brought up mushrooms and chocolate, and I was going to ask you specifically about that because I do know that in Mayan cultures, they were very engaged in combining chocolate and the mushrooms of the area, which I believe were cyanescents, not necessarily cubensis. And what I've learned is that there's a compound within the chocolate and also something within the mushrooms that works in such a synthesis that it expands the properties of both. So you actually would need less mushrooms to have a far more powerful effect when combined with chocolate. And those plant spirits, and I'll tell people what we talked about. I mentioned that the 3 plant spirits that I engage with the most daily, or at least as much as possible, is yerba mate, cannabis, and cacao. And I was mentioning that they are like 3 sisters that love each other, that are always in good spirits, hanging out, laughing, and that you always want to be around all the time. So what do you think about that? The synthesis between chocolate and these other plant spirits. It's not all of them, but some of them seem to really work well together with chocolate.
Yes. Okay. So beautiful. I love this because the journeys that Katie Isminger from Love Collective, we've come together, her who has this deep and long-term reverence and relationship with the medicines of mushrooms, myself with cacao, we've come together, we're doing these beautiful journeys, and her messages, especially since we've come together to do these journeys together with cacao, she keeps getting the message from the mushrooms. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. Everyone's going to go on a big journey. It's going to be beautiful. And it's so true. Anywhere from a gram, gram and a half, sometimes 2 grams. The effects, the journeys are incredible. The insights, the integration. And so that is so wonderful. We don't need a lot of anything, really. We have this perception as humans that, to break this habit, it's going to be a hard thing to break. Everything's going to be hard and everything's going to be a lot of work and everything's. Who told us that story? That there is another belief that we need to be open to changing that belief based on these higher perspectives and these new truths coming to us. We are living in a time right now as we are expanding where we no longer need to suffer.
Yes.
We no longer need to suffer. Yes, perhaps we were suffering because we had this denser energy and we just weren't like listening to these beautiful signs that were coming to us or whatever it is. But now we're aware. We have these beautiful cosmic spirits and spirit guides to speak to connect to. We have these medicines that we can drink. We have other things that we can do, breath work, other beautiful things, listening to these beautiful podcasts of guests and people like you who are bringing these beautiful insights, these beautiful rememberings to us to help us every day to expand more and more and more and more. And so, yes, you don't need a lot of anything in your life to make a beautiful, enormous shift.
Wow.
You just need to be in reverence to it.
Yes. That love frequency, just understanding the spirit, and the spirit will respect you. And like you said, that will change the world. We change ourselves, we change our results. That changes the world because it's all kind of this strange illusion. If you study Hermeticism, they talk about the divine paradox. It's both real and unreal at the same time. How is it like that? I don't know. It's a paradox. You just got to roll with it. So that's kind of how it is. So we can change that. Now, we've talked about so many good things and so many loving and positive things, but it wouldn't be fair if I didn't talk to you about a couple things related to cacao that may not be so epic, and I just want to get your thoughts about it. So it just wouldn't be fair. I feel like I do have to address these things. In 2020, it looks like the world production of cacao was 5.8 tons or 58 tons. It was a significant amount, probably even more. That sounds actually really low. But I do know from a recent article that cacao bioaccumulates lead. And I read a whole study about this, and they were testing, in that study, they were testing different chocolate bars that were available for sale on the market and testing their lead content. And my favorite chocolate bar, the Hue chocolate, the HU, I don't know if you've ever seen those. The Hue,
Yes.
they're so good, had like 12,000 times the amount of lead that you should ever be around. And when I was reading that, it did talk about that. So are there ways to make sure you get the highest quality cacao that doesn't have that? Is that a part of it? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting because, like, I live in Canada, and I know because I bring cacao, ceremonial cacao, in from Ecuador and Peru. And our customs here, we cannot bring cacao, like claim cacao, and bring it in without a declaration, a support document showing the lead content. It must be tested at origin. So that's interesting you're saying that. And I know that that also is something in America and all of the states as well. So it's actually quite interesting that somehow it's getting in through certain people or certain ways, perhaps wherever the chocolate is being made. But there are, or perhaps the documentation, I don't know, is not accurate, or perhaps is being paid off, or some, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just saying this could be a possibility. But I know for a fact that this testing is done with our ceremonial cacao that comes in from our two countries. And I know that it is something that is very much honored in the space of ceremonial cacao. Now, what is ceremonial cacao versus cacao? Ceremonial cacao is a cacao that is grown in a farm where the farmers know that it is ceremonial. So therefore it's honored, the way it's planted, the way it's harvested, the way it's sold. Everyone who takes it and packages it and brings it to market is in reverence to the fact that it is a cosmic spirit. That's why it's called ceremonial cacao.
Okay. So that stuff is amazing, but the stuff that's being mass produced, I bet, the lowest grade cacao with industrial fertilizers, incredibly tainted water, that is probably the chocolate that's being used in America, who, let's just be real. I mean, a lot of those people can be bought off. A lot of those standards can be kind of swept under the rug with the right amount of money. But in Canada, it may not be that case. But it's really, you're saying it's about making sure that the source is perfect, and then that will ensure the quality and the other things.
Absolutely. And you know what's happening right now in the world? So we are in July of 2024 that this is being recorded.
Yes.
And what's happening right now in the world over the last few weeks or even a couple months, the price of cacao as a commodity has completely skyrocketed. It's like it's astounding what's happening. And if you think about it energetically, what's going on, quite an enormous amount of the cacao that many, not all, but many of the largest chocolate companies are buying from are from West Africa. And much of that cacao, and this is no secret, you can find it anywhere, is child slave labor.
Yes, I was going to ask you about this as well.
And many of these chocolate companies every year acknowledge this and say, yes, we know, but we need another 5 years in order to, support everything and realign everything, or whatever their verbiage is. And yet, so that's happening over here and has been happening for so long. So imagine this beloved plant medicine of which people are just diluting and bringing it over here to make it into chocolate, which is still beautiful chocolate, but doing it in as cheaply as possible, taking whatever forms they can, including removing children from their families and bringing them over here to harvest that, and then paying nothing to these people, or if, perhaps very little or nothing. And that's not just happening there. That's happening in many farms all over the world where cacao farmers are being so underpaid. There's a big, it is time right now that this needs to be looked at. And I believe this whole shortage that's happening, because there is a shortage happening right now in the world of cacao.
Really?
Mainly because of what's happening in Africa and because of all the amounts of cacao that's coming through. from all the big chocolate companies. And now can you imagine, they're like, oh my God, now they need a ton of chocolate. Where are they going now? And trying to, receive from other places. And I believe that it's a time where we are now at a precipice, where we are now at a time where cacao is not only coming into our life as ceremonial cacao through these beautiful podcasts or people going to ceremonies, but through the world of chocolate now. There is a shortage. The whole world is now learning about this shortage. And now there's an opportunity to understand, why is there a shortage? How has the land, the people of the land, how have they literally, like spiritually, emotionally, maybe even physically, like, the word that's coming to me is this emotional or spiritual rape of all of it that has been happening. And it cannot happen anymore. We are now, as we know, with the world, everything is coming to light.
Yes.
All of it's coming to light. So of course, cacao, what's been going on with cacao, this is also coming to light. And it's coming to light as a shortage, but really it's coming to light. And there is a shortage, but really, why is there a shortage? Why now? Everybody's going to learn why. What's been going on from a place of, oh my God, with everyone's heart opening up, saying this can no longer happen. And it also, we look at, usually sometimes the best cacao beans can be spoken of. We have wine, and we have the best grapes. You can buy a bottle of wine for thousands of dollars when you use the best grapes. But yet the best cacao seeds, the most you'll ever pay probably is $12 US for a really good chocolate, or whatever, maybe $20 US, when really it's distorted. And yet the plant medicine that cacao is. And even, understanding, and I believe we're shifting into a consciousness where you can even take a chocolate. There are beautiful chocolate companies that are called bean to bar chocolate companies. So what they do is they buy the seeds. They don't buy processed cacao that's been processed already, so many times over and it's already been diluted. They buy the seeds, beautiful seeds that have been graded for quality as well. They buy these seeds. They roast them themselves. They are madly in love with the cacao, these chocolate makers, and they make cacao, which is called bean to bar chocolates. For anybody who's listening who's like, oh, I love chocolate, but how can I buy something more beautiful, more ethical, more healthy? Bean to bar chocolates, which is usually made from 2 ingredients, maybe 3, maybe 4. And those ingredients, if they have sugar, it's like cane sugar, natural, some kind of natural sugar. And perhaps they have like a nut or some other natural ingredient in it. Beautiful, high levels of cacao. And because it's pure and delicious seeds and beans, cacao beans, you can have like a 90% and it tastes like a 70% because it's such good quality.
Wow.
So, some people are like, oh, I can't have 90%. It's too bitter for me. So yeah, it would be a bean to bar. Look for that on the label. You'll get it in health food stores or even online. Bean to bar chocolate companies, you can buy it online. Not only is the energy of these beautiful people in honor, not all of them are aware of cacao being a plant medicine, but definitely they are in honor of the seed and in honor of the cacao, which is the starting point, right? It's the starting point in having the next level of energy of the product, of the cacao that you're eating or drinking.
Right. And that is, like you said, a gateway to more spiritual understanding. And especially for people that can't really handle a big, powerful psychedelic experience, but want to connect with plant spirits, this is a great way to start. And we've had such an incredible conversation. Oh my God. I mean, we could go
again, right?
Of course. Are you kidding? Yes, of course. Like, you have to come back on. But there's still so much to talk about, but I know we could just go for hours. So I want to tell people where to find you right away. Goddess Temple Cacao.com. That's the website. You can go there. You heard her talk about life and her perspective on how to manifest and create your own life. She has a book about it. Life Purpose Playbook, that's available on her website. She has the videos. Like she said, you can work with her directly as well. She can be a speaker and she does mentorship and coaching. And at some point, I guess you're going to be doing a retreat perhaps to Peru.
Yeah, so I host retreats in Peru, same place, Tarapoto. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place, wellness retreats, and the Azores Islands, which are the Portuguese islands. And we are about to launch our next retreat to the Azores Islands, which will be this November 2024. So every year we either go to Peru or the Azores or both. We do beautiful medicine retreats out there. The one in the Azores is going to be focused on microdosing of our beloved mushroom medicines and cacao. So every day we're going to be on that fantastic land, nature, drinking our cacao and on this beautiful cosmic journey.
Wow. And that's in November. And you're going to have updated info on the website, I guess, very soon then.
Yes. Actually, as of tomorrow, for sure, because we're just having a call tonight to work that out.
Wow. And I just want to add one more thing before we go. For people that are listening to this and maybe they're more materialistic, maybe they're more just focused on the body. Hey, guess what? There was a 2019 study that proved, a medical study, that chocolate cacao, dark chocolate specifically, enhances cognitive function and improves memory. So there's just so many benefits to this. And if you're feeling this, and like Judy's saying, if you're called to cacao, because you probably are, because you're listening to this right now, check the website, check the books, check everything. And Judy, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us before you go?
Wow. I would just love to, first of all, thank you again, Jake.
Oh, you're awesome. We're very similar frequency people.
Beautiful. Honestly. I mean, look at you, your energy, your smile, just so beautiful. Thank you for what you're doing. And just a big blast of beautiful love to every single soul on this, who's listening to this podcast and even beyond, and to the whole world. Just so grateful to be alive at this time where we're remembering so much and we're working with these beautiful spirits. And I'm just so grateful. And I hope to meet most of you, all of you, whoever's listening to this podcast, reach out to me. Love to hear your story of cacao, mushrooms, any kind of plant medicine. I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much for being here, Judy. You've been absolutely amazing. And yes, engage with these plant spirits, engage with chocolate, go to her website and learn more. Take the deep dive, do a dieta, learn all about this. Go there. And Judy, please hold through the outro music. And everyone else out there listening in over 150 countries right now, we will see you next week. Midnight on Earth.